Client flags, good or bad, sometimes will cost you your entire project and other times just cost you a headache. Regardless, you should know some potential green flags to look out for in future clients so you don't end up with headaches after headache after headache. So let's get started with number 1. Clear communication. Communication is such an important thing to me. With my subcontractors, clients and everyone just in my personal life, communication is such an important thing. If deadlines are not met, if deliverables are not delivered, communicate. Say so. Don't just be quiet and hope that no one will notice. Because not only will this frustrate, it will also leave the client and you potentially in a state of just like, what is going on? So clear communication is such an important part of any successful business relationship. Realistic deadlines. Deadlines are a bit of a touchy subject. You either love them or hate them. But regardless, you will need them for every project to be successful. Otherwise, you won't deliver on time and the client won't deliver you the material you need on time either. So setting deadlines that not only are realistic but also are somewhat challenging, I think sets the groundwork for any successful project. And don't just set a tight deadline to please the client. Set a realistic deadline that you know that you can deliver on as well. Which is kind of related to green flag number 3, respecting boundaries. And this goes both ways. The client needs to respect your boundaries and you need to respect their boundaries. For example, in my contracts with every single client, I outline the exact working hours they should expect responses from me. And this goes for clients and contractors I work with. I don't respond to messages outside of my standard 9 to 5 hours. Now, I do still sometimes respond, but that's only because I want to please the client and do a good job and make a happy, successful business relationship. But regardless, the client shouldn't expect a response from me outside of those hours. And that's a very clear boundary I set with everyone. So you gotta figure out what boundaries do you have and which ones are important to you. We're cruising through this. Number 4, prompt payment. Payments are challenging, to say the least, as a freelancer. Sometimes you get them, sometimes they're delayed, and sometimes they're paid on time. Regardless, you should always value a prompt and instant payment. If you send the invoice and have it paid the same day, oh my god, do what you can to keep the client, because that does not happen every day. But the reason why it should be valuable is because it means that the client values your time and your expertise and your energy, honestly. So a quick payment, that's a keeper. Which is kind of related to point number 5, professionalism. Payments and communication and all of that just goes under the same umbrella as professionalism. Keeping a good and healthy tone when speaking to each other. These are all examples of keeping a good professional attitude in this business-to-business relationship. Because although you are two humans, it is still a business relationship, and everyone at the end of the day, if you boil it down to what it is, are in it for the money. That's just the reality of it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have fun doing it, but it is a business. Which then leads me to point number 6, positive feedback. It's so easy to just bash a design and like go, hey, I am not happy with this, can you change that, and this, it's wrong, I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. But it is way harder to do it in a constructive and positive way that will actually lead to a better outcome. So if your client goes, hey, good job with this, I like this and that, but could we change this in a constructive, healthy manner? It's another keeper. Do what you can. Keep them. It's a green flag. And then, number 7, if they keep coming back to you and even refers other businesses to you, wow. I keep saying it's a keeper, but I mean, if there's ever been a keeper, that's the one, number 7. I'm not even gonna go into detail why that's a keeper. You'll have to figure that one out yourself. Number 8, clear contract terms. I always send my own contract to the clients, so I have full control of what is written and what is outlined in the contract itself. And if the client returns it saying, hey, we need to change this and that, and like, why is this written there, blah, blah, blah. To me, that is a bit of a red flag, because it means that they don't fully trust you and they want to be legally covered. But if they just go, hey, this looks all great, like, just be aware that like this is happening, and like we are thinking this way about the contract, and are we aligned on that? If we are, let's sign the contract now already. And if that's the case, that's such a massive green flag, because it means that they value you and trust you to provide what you say that you are going to provide. And like any healthy relationship, whether romantic, platonic or business, it needs to be based on trust. And that kind of goes on to point number 9, scope creep and reasonable scope of work. If the client keeps kind of extending the scope of work and like, hey, we kind of need this as well, and I know it wasn't part of the contract, but like, it's a quick change, it's a red flag. I'm sorry. So if everyone, you and the client and everyone else, sticks to what is outlined in the contract under the scope of work title, then that is a keeper. It's such a good flag, because it means that they value you and your time, your energy and your money and the financial situation of the project, because they have costs, you have costs as well, even if it's just your time and no contractors. Mutual trust and respect, number 10. I've been talking about trust this whole video, and once again I want to mention it as its own individual point. Trust goes such a long way. Even if things go sideways, you don't manage to deliver on what you promised, as long as you have that trust baseline that, hey, what I say will be done. That is such a healthy place to be, and you will always manage to figure out a tricky situation if you have that baseline established. And number 11. If your client is interested in seeing you grow, that is a massive keeper. I know I said I believe number 7 was the one biggest keeper, but I take it back. This one is the keeper. I recently spoke to one of my long-term clients that I got in touch with at the very start of my business, and we ended up working on another project now currently, more than 1 year later. We were both reflecting on where we were back then versus now, and how exciting it is to see that I have grown massively, they have grown massively, and we are kind of in it together as more partners than just client to service provider relationship. And so that's such a fun place to be, because at the end of the day, yes, you're in it for the money and it's a business to business relationship, but that doesn't mean that you can't have fun while doing so and celebrating each other's wins. So these are my 11 green flags. So these are my 11 green flags that you should look up. So these are my 11 green flags that is always such a... So these are my 11 green flags. I'd love to know if you think I missed someone, or if you even disagree with them. Comment down below what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next week. Peace out.